Trees are one of the most important things in survival Minecraft. For many, they're the first thing you see in a world, the first thing you are required to interact with, and the main thing that makes up a landscape. They've been in the game since the very start, and are very, very basic. You may have seen builders refer to them as vanilla, bone meal, or notch trees because they were made by him. They have a generic shape, unrealistic leaf structure, and when used in a build, they can often ruin its look. While they are very nostalgic and suits the style of landscape and structure in Minecraft, for builders who want to improve this landscape, it's often a better idea to make yourself some custom trees. And that is why I'm here. But before I get into the video, I'm sorry for my brief absence. I had a few exams over the week. I should be back into the grind again. Anyway, let's get into the video. So, we're going to begin with what is probably the most common variant of tree in the game. Oak trees appear in 18 of the 64 biomes in Minecraft and come in 3 variants: common small oaks, vine-covered swamp trees, and the annoying to break large oaks. To begin with, we're going to make a trunk. Now the trunk is very simple, although they do come in lots of shapes and sizes. However, I'm going to make them in a simple shape such as this one. Now the first thing you really want to do is sort of build up the base of your trunk. Make sure it's at a good height, make sure it feels quite even and quite sturdy. And then bring it up to a reasonable height. I'd say between 5 and 11 blocks are the best height of trees. Now for oak trees, you want to build up the support with slabs and stairs of the spruce variety. This is because spruce wood is the closest colour to oak wood in the plank form. As you can see, this just makes it more organic and makes it seem more sturdy. Now the next step is probably the most difficult bit to get right, is the branches. Now they may look daunting, or they may not, but they're actually pretty simple. So you just need to spread them out a few blocks, I'd say 4 or 5 blocks outwards, go in all directions, and you don't need too many. As you can see, these are some good branches. Remember, it's best if you go out in all directions as well. Now the next step is to coat each branch with leaves. So cover every block on the top and sides of the branch with the main leaf you want to use. And as you can see, it already looks nice and organic, but there are a few things you do want to sort out. Firstly, the bottom of the branches shouldn't be covered. However, you do want to cover a few of them, just to make it look a little more covered and protected. You don't want to go too overboard because you do want to be able to see the branches from outside of the tree, but you do want to make sure that they are still covered and you can't just see every single branch. As well as this, it does look a bit messy, which you do want to go for that aesthetic, but you still want it to look nice and organic. So you do need to build up some of the shape, and there we go. So we've got plenty of branches sticking out, so you can still see them, but we've still covered a lot of it with the leaves. The next step is to add some roots. Now, roots really aren't that difficult. You just need to make sure they don't go too big, so they're about the same length of these branches, and you can use stairs, slabs, or just blocks like so. If you want, you can make some coarse dirt or dirt near the bottom, just to make it appear as though it's been slightly uprooted. There's maybe a bit of podzol at the bottom, or just the earth's less smooth. Another thing we can have is more variants of leaves. Now, I like to include things like birch leaves, or jungle leaves, or acacia leaves, compared to the darker leaves such as dark oak and spruce leaves. You can also add features such as rope swings, which can add some nice lore to your world if you like. You can add something like so. You could even have a tire swing, or you can add things like steppe mushrooms on the side, using quartz slabs and mushroom stem blocks. Now, if you want to add even more colour and just change the type of tree to something different entirely, you can hide bits of red using rose bushes in it. Since the leaf texture is very slightly transparent, you can sort of see little dots of red here and there, and coarse dirt, since it's brown, mixes in nice and well with the branches, so they're barely noticeable. And these just look like berries or apples hidden right into the crevices of the tree. Finally, although I prefer not to add this, you can imagine there's a single light source. So say the sun is shining down from there, which mine happens to be doing. You can add little bits of lime concrete powder just to emphasize highlights. And on the underside you can add things like lime green terracotta or green terracotta and things like that, just to give the impression of shade. However, I prefer not to do this because it can be quite painstaking and resource heavy, and also I just prefer the look of it without. Anyway, there we have it. There we have a nice tree. It's got a little rope swing on it if you like, or some step mushrooms, or absolutely nothing at all. Oak trees are very simple, and as you can see, this looks way more natural than other trees, although this one's actually an apple tree now. Moving on, birch trees are pretty much exactly the same. So instead of going through the same old thing, I'm going to show you what you can use to mix it up a bit. So this is going to be a different shape of branch. This is going to be a forked tree, so it's more like a V shape. Remember, you can still build up the base, although birch trees, they often have a slightly less built up base, and they're less sturdy because they're a little more thinner and the trunks are less supported. Now, use things like quartz instead for the branches because they're a similar colour, and unlike the planks, they are a white colour rather than a peachy sandy colour. Now, all you have to do is do exactly the same with the birch leaves and cover the branches completely. Now, birch trees are slightly less connected than oak, so you don't need to fill it in too much organically with the leaves. As you can see, you just need to smooth out the leaves on the branches ever so slightly. You don't need to do too much work on it. There we go, and that looks a little less clumped together, but it still looks nice and connected with a nice canopy on the top. You can once again add a few roots, but you probably want them to be a little smaller. And remember, you can do things like use coarse dirt at the bottom just to shape it up just a tiny bit. And there we have it. This is a very nice looking birch tree, but there's one more thing I want to show you. And this is another type of birch tree, and it's a lot simpler. What you need to do is build up a few blocks, have 2 leaves on the top, and then on the sides, bring it down to about 2 or 3 blocks off the ground. Just build it up here like so, and organically fill it in like this. These are more like aspens or poplars, and they fit into the ground a little. And they need fewer roots, so I don't like to support them as much. As you can see, they're very simple, similar to these, but also very different. Now moving on, spruce trees don't tend to fork at the branch. Instead, they usually just go in one thin, maybe slightly curving branch, like so. Now, the branches often tend to go right down to a very low point on the ground, and they often get thinner the further up they go. So what you want to do is make them sweep down into the ground in a similar fashion to this. And there we have it, just some nice, very, very simple shapes. And then just do exactly the same as you've done before. Just build up each and every branch, like so. Remember, use dark oak stairs and slabs for spruce, just because it looks a little more closer to the spruce compared to the spruce slabs. Now you can be a little lenient with this. So as you can see, I don't want to cover up every single bit of wood. so you can be a bit lenient in doing this. However, you do want to cover most of the branch at the same time. As you can see, this is nice and coniferous, and one thing you may want to do to spruce it up even more is just add a tiny bit of snow on top. Now this actually defines a lot of the tree, so you can see that it's hard to see it all when you first glance at it, but when you put snow on it, it sort of separates it, adds contrast to it, so you can just see each individual leaf just a tiny bit better, and it does work well. Also, of course, don't cover every single leaf. Most of the inner leaf blocks won't have as much snow on them, but the outer leaf blocks you definitely want to have snow on. And you don't need too many roots either. You just need to spread it out slightly like so, and add some snow to the base. If you want to, you can hide podzol higher up in the tree, but you do want to hide it, and you can have things like brown mushrooms in because they look a little bit like pine cones. Now you do have to bury them quite a lot just to hide them, just to hide the podzol, but they are a nice little feature to add if you can hide them very carefully, very sporadically, so they just peek through the leaves ever so slightly. And there we have it. You can also treat these in a similar fashion to birch, so you can have similar types of tree, although you may want to bring them up a little taller, and you can build them up and down just like this, and don't forget to add a little bit of snow up here as well. And there we have it, 5 different types of tree. There's the oak tree, the birch tree, another birch tree more like an aspen, and the much larger coniferous spruce tree. And I hope these were used to you. Now I am of course going to do more in the future. I will do acacia, dark oak, jungle, as well as some custom trees such as baobabs, palm trees, mangroves, willows, things like that, just to add to the game. So thank you so much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please, as usual, leave a suggestion down below. I hope this is used to you. I may even leave a map download when I finish the series. So, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye!